Ladies and gentlemen, about to get in the show.
Yes.
So, first and foremost, thank you all for gathering and tuning in. It's going to be a fast paced, spirited conversation. Got a great cast. So, got Frank from Loci, Anne Marie from Google, and then we got the one and only Shannon Sharpe.
Thank you.
Big round of pre applause for us to kick this off. So esteemed to moderate this outstanding panel. So let me sort of set the frame here. I think you guys are going to like this piece. The way we see the world today, everything lives in culture. Everything is rooted in it. Everything is built in it. It's how we identify the world. And it's how, obviously, us in Black America discern the BS in the world. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing is this idea of the culture of trust. Trust is built in culture. If it's not built in culture, in our culture, a lot of times we don't trust it. So I want to establish the fact that we're here to spell the T. We're going to say all the quiet parts out loud. Shannon's going to say most of it. But that's how we're going to roll today. So without further ado, let me kick this off. So I'm going to start with you, Anne Marie. Years ago, I had the pleasure of participating in YouTube's Black Voices initiative. And for those of you who don't know, YouTube's Black Voices initiative was about solving the problem of underrepresentation of Black creators, in particular on YouTube as a platform. The way they solve it, or saw it, is the way you solve it is you go to the point of origin. Let's source the countries with the most Black representation, Africa, UK, US, and let's go create them from scratch, give them the tools, bring them in the market, activate them. Tell me why that's so big, because most of the time when we are left out, it's because there's profit in the problem, meaning someone's making money off the fact that we are not there. But I'm gonna let you shed some light on why those movements like that are so big in the culture space.
I love that question, and thanks for asking, and thanks for having me here. We spoke a little bit about this. Our mission at YouTube is about giving everyone a voice and showing them the world. And what Black Voices represents is that part of our mission, showing them the world. Showing them the world is not just giving them access to the video platform. It really is empowering them with the tools and the opportunities to turn those passions into true business opportunities, as well as building communities. So that's why, a program like that is so integral to not really the success of our platform, but the success of the creators that fuel our platform. And I think that's what's important is the creators are truly at the epicenter and the ecosystem of the YouTube platform. And so as a result of that, we have to ensure that they are truly empowered and truly educated with the tools to be successful.
I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna mix it up a bit. I'm gonna come to you, Shannon, real quick. Now, in the world of sports commentating, for me, there are a series of Black voices that have always reverberated. One is the late Stuart Scott.
Yes.
One Stephen A. Mm-hmm. And one is one Shannon Sharpe. You said in one of your, must have been ESPN interviews, there was no mistake, no accident that two young brothers from Glenville, Georgia made it to the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I always say that people want to hear from interesting people in this day and age. They don't want to hear from the privileged. They want to hear from the ones designated not to be here. So nobody was picking you out of Savannah State to be where you are today. Talk about that journey, that plight of being the voice that no one counted in, but now you are here and you built this amazing brand.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I shared that story, that there's not an accident that two brothers from the same household made it from where we made it from all the way to the NFL, is because we had the same background, we had the same teaching, discipline, determination, and dedication. My grandfather had a famous quote. It wasn't a famous quote, but I think I've said it so much I've kind of made it famous. He said, never mistake habit for hard work. He said, just because you repeat something over and over doesn't mean you're working hard. And I took that to heart. Wow. And every day I ask myself, did I do this out of habit or am I working hard?
Right.
And so I took the same approach that helped me get from Glenville, Georgia, population 3,500, cinder block for a tin roof home, and I transferred that into my second career. I believe in order to be great, you must be passionate, you must be consistent, and above all else, you must be obsessed. My drug is success.
Love it.
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And there is a price that you have to pay for that. And if you don't want to be successful, you don't want to be great, well, that's your price. Everybody doesn't want the same thing. Some people want to, like, you know what? I want to get X amount. I still want to have a normal life. I want to go home at 5 o'clock. I want to be with my family. I don't begrudge that. But I want a different level of success, and that's the price that I'm willing to pay for it.
The one thing I love is I love your culture of truth. We're going to get back to that. But I did think you was going to say, my grandma said.
No, that was my grandfather. My grandfather was the one that had the farm, and my brother and I worked on it until he passed away, and we started working for other people. But there's it's still that same thing. A lot of what I heard, my brother heard because he's 3 years older than I am, and that was the same thing that they're instilled in their own kids.
Absolutely, I love it. So I'm going to bring it to Frank. Frank, mixed race, not mixed race, but representation of British, African, Nigerian. I hear Nigeria is a whole nother world we all got to explore and understand one day. It's a little different from how we rock on the East Coast.
For sure.
Absolutely, Frank. Talk to me about the idea of literally building an apparel company, a shoe company, one of the hardest categories to enter, built on top of culture. But why your Nigerian roots had you building on the idea of the culture of sustainability? Because that's big.
Thank you very much. I mean, firstly, being a British Nigerian was really important to me in terms of being able to give back to my community and give back to where I came from. My background is actually in the fashion industry. I've been in it for about 15 years. I previously had a brand that was selling in 67 countries around the world, and we were producing, just under 2 million units a year. And being in that industry, I discovered some of the challenges and some of the problems that the fashion industry is contributing to the world. And we wanted to do something different and change that. And that's kind of how Loci was formed, in all honesty. It was to do more things better, in a more sustainable way, produce smaller production runs, and I guess also produce the right way. So in all honesty, it's probably like a half an hour story. I'm just trying to give you a bit of it in a nutshell. But in terms of giving back and in terms of the culture, we're a predominantly black-owned business, which is what I'm proud of. And there's not many people in our space doing that. But I think we've been fortunate that we've been able to pull from our culture and lead to doing something that's a bit more impactful and making a difference in the world. So that's kind of where we come from. And that's what we want to do, is we want to change, build up culture, and also make sure there's representation and people like me in positions where they can make change. That's really important.
Love that, love that. I'm going to let you two build on this. We're in a world we have evolved from powerful countries, the U.S. versus USSR, Soviet Union, to powerful companies, some of who are going bankrupt, to powerful people. We got one next to us, but we got others as well. So the first thing I want to talk about from Frank is a lot of corporations engage in greenwashing around sustainability, but a creator class, an influencer, is often more believable. So that's you building a business on top of it versus some mega corporation where they don't believe because of the other practices we don't see offshore. Talk to us about the social currency around creators and the sustainability conversation that corporations just don't understand. And then I'm going to come to you.
I mean, I think we've been lucky. Because we come from diverse backgrounds, it's kind of built through our business in terms of our employees, creators we work with, models, you name it. It kind of goes through our business. So for us, it's basically just like, something that really resonates with us. We always want to make sure that we're representing and making sure that everyone is in a room that has a voice. And the most important thing is the storytelling, right? I think a lot of brands now, they fit their agenda to having a story and then getting a model or a certain creator. But what we actually do is we go back to the creator, we find out their story, and we see how it works with our brand and try and tell the story the right way that's really authentic. So that's just part of what we kind of do.
That's lovely. So Google was made very infamous beyond search engine, the long tail of pay-per-click ads, but YouTube is sort of coining the long tail of the creator marketplace, from nano to micro to macro to mega to celebrity. So let's talk about the idea of accelerating unheard voices, from side hustles to the top of the dominance hierarchy. I mean, that's a phenomenon, in particular for audiences that the system was almost designed to exclude. Would love to give you some context on that.
Yeah, what I think, well, what's great about YouTube and our creator program is that we created the modern day creator ecosystem. So, two things. One, which is that we share in the revenues of YouTube with our creators. So, from your first upload to generating millions of views, there's an opportunity for you to generate income. Secondly, what's amazing about kind of sharing in this ecosystem is that we connect creators with brands. So we fuel opportunities to generate income outside of even the videos that they're producing for our platform. And with this revenue, they're able to build production studios, teams. So they're not only in it for themselves, they're also in it to give back. And what I love is what even outside of kind of our endemic creators, even what celebrities are doing on our platform. And I'd love for Shannon to share a bit more. I know he shared it on our Brandcast stage a few weeks ago, but even if you look at Keke Palmer, she created Key TV for YouTube. And her mission was to give access and give visibility to voices that are underrepresented. And she said, when she launched that, she said, digital gave her power. So
That part.
What's great about a platform like YouTube is that it gives our creators their power to build their businesses, to build income for themselves, to tell their stories the way that their stories need to be told, and to connect communities around those stories. So you don't have to hide in a corner and be like, I don't feel like I'm represented or hearing stories like myself. On YouTube, you can literally connect and find the stories that will really help you become a better person. So.
Absolutely. So, Shannon, you had to establish laws of attraction by creating plays on the field, a valuable known asset and entity. But now you've transitioned to creating laws of attraction based on capturing and telling very interesting narratives. It's almost like people come on your show and they got to kneel before the Catholic Church and go into confessional. I knew we'd get one of those out of before we left.
Yes.
But talk about that transition, because you said you didn't believe you would get this big, and you're bigger than you were on the field. Now, one of the comedians said, dude, you was on a helmet. They didn't know what you looked like anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon has one of the biggest platforms on YouTube and biggest followings. So it's phenomenal. And even just what you spoke about earlier about the drive and the grit you put into everything, it's truly resulted in what you were seeing on your platform today.
It is. I think the thing is and we were talking about this earlier, is that the greater the accomplishments or the goal, the greater the sacrifice has to be.
Absolutely.
You see people write down their goals in the left column, but they never write down what they're willing to sacrifice in the right column.
Yep.
Digitally, YouTube gave me the opportunity to create content that I believe people wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I'm my own entity. When I worked for everybody else, I was viewed as talent.
Yep.
And so I had to talk about what they wanted to talk about.
Exactly.
That's not how it works on YouTube. Yeah. We get to create content that I believe my viewing and listening audience want to hear and see.
100%.
I get to have people on that I believe that are interesting and have a very interesting story to tell. When people come on Club Shay Shay, I always ask them, is there anything that you don't want to talk about? I'm a firm believer that if you're sitting on that couch in Club Shay Shay, you can tell your story without your most embarrassing moment. You can leave that out, and I still believe you're great.
Yeah.
And you can tell that story.
Absolutely.
But YouTube gave me an opportunity to be a network. That's how I view myself. I'm a network now. I employ people. producers, graphics, editors, runners, things of that nature. And YouTube gave me that opportunity to do that. I was like, what am I going to do? How do I resonate? And I think the biggest thing when you're talking about who is Google? When you see Shannon Sharpe, you know who Shannon Sharpe is. Yeah. You've had 30 years. You've heard his stories a lot of times. He's relatable. Yep. He tells stories and he shares things that, like, hold on. He's that, and I had a very similar situation. He's a lot like me. And so I think that's the thing that helps me resonate with my fan base is the relatability, the stories that I'm able to convey upon them, and I'm authentic.
No, it's 100%. I mean, look, people don't follow logos. They follow people.
They follow people.
They don't follow networks. They follow people. They don't follow teams. They wear an individual player's jersey. It is what it is.
Yes.
And I think what people sometimes lose sight of, the consumer populace with a consuming product content are always signaling their intent to follow the story which comes from another individual. I think what you're able to do masterfully is curate an environment of vulnerability, especially amongst the black men who come on your show to tell the truth about essentially what's going on. I think it's outstanding. So let me ask you this and shift this to you, Frank, because we are not often included at the product design level. We are the fair dust sprinkled on in terms of branding and sponsorships and aligning with talent.
Ambassadors.
That other part. When we've always earned a seat at the table because we're the change makers that shape-shift the product once it shows up in market anyways, because a lot of times it ain't cool, it ain't hot enough. So you did it, obviously, from the beginning. Then you bring in the likes of a Nicki Minaj. So you didn't go source some factory and a whole bunch of designers. You brought in another creator. So you have the idea of inclusive representation at the base level. Talk about how that's powerful in the ethos of what's presented in market versus how other brands are trying to back into culture. You had culture at the design level.
So in all honesty, we're fortunate to say that Nikki is also a partner of our brand and a collaborator. So, she invested and believed in what we were doing, which is amazing. Look, I think in all honesty, right, with regards to our, design and innovation and things like that, it's all led, obviously, by the founders of the design team, but having a powerhouse like Nicki Minaj is definitely a game changer. And funny enough, we didn't understand how vested she was going to be in the project in terms of designing the shoes, the colors, the laces, everything that she was picking, and all the marketing activations that we have planned after her tour's finished. Because, at the moment she's on a world tour going around the world. But, we've got some amazing things that are happening there. And like I say, I think a lot of people like to tap into the culture, right? Like, we know what the culture brings, especially to the fashion industry. You can look at Kanye West and Yeezys and all the other things that are out there, and the Travis Scotts and stuff. But it's just like, for us, it's just authentic, because this is who we are. We make stuff we want to wear. We make stuff that we, love, and then what we feel. And I think that's the most important thing for us, is just making sure that it resonates with us, and any collaborator that we have, shares our values and our vision and wants to make stuff that, we're proud to put out there. Because in all honesty, the fashion industry doesn't need any more clothes. It doesn't need any more shoes, right? There's so much out there. Everyone's sport for choice. So
well, I do.
I think it's just about trying to make the impact. But proud to have that association with Nikki. She's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Anne-Marie, to you, I mean, I think it's well known that Black women in beauty really sort of define the YouTube creator mold, but they did it out of friction. The fact that major corporate brands making beauty brands weren't speaking to them. They weren't kitchen chemists, so many Black women had to become them to create something that worked for them. So it wasn't just about how to get the style, how to get the look. They were building businesses, some of their own and some with other counterparts. I mean, there's a tremendous power. I mean, it almost served as sort of the blueprint in the marketplace, or in some facets, it was very much the Black print. But I would love you to give some context as how that early Black creator class defined the rules of engagement of how YouTube creation actually manifests today.
I think there's What's interesting about that, and having come from the beauty industry, is that they use the platform to really challenge brands to rethink the way they were creating. So, not seeing the right foundation shades on a shelf, not seeing the right red lipstick that looks right on black people because it shows up pink instead
Yeah.
of red. So, they really use that platform to educate, to challenge, and to hold brands accountable to representing them. And I think that's what's truly the power of YouTube, is that it really is this platform where you can use it to tell funny things that happens in your day, to shift culture, to challenge industries, to make, meaningful changes in their development process, and even just who they choose to represent the brand.
Yeah.
And there really isn't any other platform like that that allows you to really, put your face out there and say, this is what I need from the world, and world, you better give it back to me.
No, I love that. I think what you talked about is that business was based on top-down disruption.
Yep.
CPGs controlling supply chain, shelf space,
Yep.
availability, pricing, almost suppressing. And that's very much a bottom-up disruption. We're going to
Yep.
start with 100 followers, 100,000, a million, and all of a sudden, as you said, we're an enterprise to be reckoned with. The NFL was very much about top-down disruption. We control the marketplace, we control the airways, we control the conversation, we're taking it global, and then here you come up out of nowhere. The beauty of bottom-up disruption, no one sees you coming. Almost slightly sinister, but sneaky. You ever thought you would be the guy who would sneak up on somebody and enter into the marketplace with a product that was there to contend with and reckon with?
No. And the thing is, the NFL, everybody has to have the same uniform.
Yep.
The jersey have to look the same socks. Everything has to be the same. So they preach uniformity. YouTube gives you that ability to be different.
Yeah.
I'm my own business. I'm the host. I can be whatever I choose to be. I can be a producer. I can be whatever I want to be. And I think what you're alluding to is Shea by Laportier. When I got approached about doing this, I was like, man, everybody has a tequila, everybody has a wine.
Yep.
But in our community, we own that brown.
Yeah.
So,
That brown look.
yeah. So I knew a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And
I'm from Georgia. I know a little about it too.
Exactly. And so they asked me to the extent of what I wanted to be involved in. And as you and I was talking about earlier, the ambassador, I was like, I don't want to be that. I want skin in the game.
Yeah.
I want it to mean something to me. I just don't want to check. I want it to mean something to me. I want to learn about as much as, like I said, I'm not good at multitasking.
Yeah.
So I have to be good. I have to be very, very careful what I put my time in because I become obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And so when I felt that I was going to go into the cognac, I needed to learn as much as I possibly could. What is the process? It has to originate in Bordeaux. We got a petite champagne that's a very small part of France, and we combine with an Uni Blanc grape. The process, the steps, the VSOP, the XO, the double XO. How many? 4 to 6 years, 6 to 8 years, 8 to 12 years, all of that.
Yeah.
And so now I do feel like a little connoisseur.
Well,
but plus YouTube, what it gave me to do with my show Club Shay Shay and Nightcap with Ocho Cinco is to have my product in the backdrop. So every time you see one of my shows, you see that.
Yeah.
I'm my own marketer. I don't have any endorsees. I'm it.
So you got you a piece of real estate.
Yes.
Brown liquor.
Prime real estate.
Right.
Have one of the most popular shows for a time. I don't know if it still is. The most popular show on YouTube. And so, and Nightcap. I got top 5 shows as far as downloads. And then every time someone watch that, they see Shea by Laportier in the backdrop.
I love it.
That's a great visual to have.
Yeah, I talk to people often about you have to treat enterprises like it's the land.
Yes.
And we don't want North Jersey Shore Beach. We want Miami Beach.
Yeah.
So what I love is when I hear about Frank's story, Frank's like, well, I'm going to build it on the beach in the beginning.
Yes.
And you said, well, it ain't enough to have a condo on the beach. Maybe I need a sky rise on the beach.
Yes.
And then Anne-Marie, obviously, is an enterprise where she's trying to facilitate building as many beaches as possible and us having a piece of that. And I think that is the lesson in the past. We were locked out of the real estate because everything is treated like the land.
Anne-Marie they own the property. She said, well, Shannon, will you build your high rise on my beach? Sure, Anne-Marie. I absolutely
Just invite
will.
me to the white parties.
He actually did ask me that question.
I love it. So look, we're going to bring this to a close, but let's talk about what the day is, Juneteenth.
Yes.
So I just want to hear from each one of you how you are continuing to mark this moment. For me personally, I posted a whole bunch of things on LinkedIn regarding the deep fakes and DE&I multicultural commitments. I'm not going to go into that rant. I'm going to let you all finish this out. But Anne-Marie, let's start with you in terms of this day. What's the quick reflection and how you're projecting that forward?
So this morning, Google hosted on Inkwell Beach an immersive experience called Human to Human. And the intention was for us to understand why Juneteenth exists, not just for us, but for everybody in attendance, to understand why it's important for us to love and understand the human.
Okay, love that.
And we asked everyone in the audience to reflect, absorb, and experience. At the end of it, it was an hour-and-a-half session where we had HBCU drummers, we had spoken word. Everyone said that not only did they reflect, absorb, and experience, but they connected and they felt. Yeah. And I think that is what's my reflection today is like, I started this morning super uplifted. I was super proud that we were able as Google to bring this experience to kick off Juneteenth at Inkwell Beach. It's actually a training that we do for leaders internally, because we know that to lead inclusively across race, identity, culture, and heritage, you also need to understand the human. Yeah. And so we took that outside of our four walls, brought it here, and yes, it was a super powerful moment this morning and an amazing way to start the day.
Yeah, I love that, human to human.
Next week will be my 56th birthday.
Happy birthday. We're going to sing to you before we get off stage. Keep going.
You know what I've been longer than anything else in my life? Longer than I've been a great athlete, longer than I've been a graduate of Savannah State, longer than I've been richer, longer than I've been poor. I've been black. I've been a black 3 times. Baby, boy, now man. I'm old enough to remember my great-grandmother, born in 1900, and to hear the stories of how she told of her mother and her great-grandmother. I'm so appreciative. There's not a day that I don't fall on my knees and I ask God, I say, God, what did I do today to deserve your favor? And as I think about all the things that we've had to overcome as a people, we've accomplished a lot. There's still so much further to go. I'm thankful because I can only imagine what they had to endure. And it makes you appreciate even the hard times, and times do get hard at times. It makes you appreciate who you are, who your lineage, where you came from, and what they instilled in me. That Juneteenth is a special, special day because so many people sacrificed and didn't get an opportunity to see what they were supposed to see because of that delayed freedom.
I love it. Look, we got it good.
We got it great. We got it. Some of us, my job is to make sure. My purpose is I'm a worker. The one thing that I want to do in my lifetime is to make sure that my community is better than when I came into this world, June 26, 1968. That is my purpose.
Love that. All right, Frank, we're going to let you bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very special day. It means a lot to us as well. But as a brand, we try not to monetize it or anything like that. We have a spotlight series that we do that highlights people in, up-and-coming people that in the arts industry, fashion space, from all walks of life. And we just try and tell their stories. And you know what? Not just June 17th, because, Juneteenth is a magnanimous day. It's just more that you got to do it every day, right? You got to appreciate it every day. You got to celebrate it every day. It's not just one day; it's every day. And how can we improve and get to the place that we want to be? And I also appreciate the sacrifices that people have made for me to be where I am today. So we just got to keep pushing.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Warm round of applause for our panelists.
Thank you.